life of the organization. And he started operations in 1990, I believe. And so he's going to come tell us what's going on over there, and let's give him a warm welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me out today. And kind of before I begin, I just want to say thank you to all of you for your service to our country, past, present, what you've done. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate that, and I just want to say thank you to all you. So, one of the reasons why I'm here today is because of this guy.
I thought they burned it.
Whoa, who is that?
What
a mean-looking cuss.
Yeah, don't cross me in a dark alley.
Colonel Atchison was a professor of mine when I was a student in the program. He became a colleague of mine, but more importantly, he became a friend and mentor to me. So I do appreciate you reaching out to me to do this and give you an update on what's going on at the Institute. So, Denny, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Scotty.
So, a lot of you probably recognize this plane. It's probably a plane a number of you have flown. It has a very storied past. It can get in and out of rough conditions. It's done a lot in terms of transporting our troops and as a medevac airplane and doing search and rescue. The big C-130 has a lot going for it. At the Institute, we have kind of our own version, the big C-150. This plane can haul one person comfortably. In terms of medevac, it can carry a first aid kit. And we can do some searching, but not necessarily any rescuing with this plane. But we use this plane a lot for our flight competition, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that coming up. But I thought I'd throw a little humor in to kind of start off here. So to begin with, the things that the university are doing very well. If you haven't been by UNO recently, it's changed a lot over the last 8 years. It's growing, it's expanding. We have over 15,000 students now on campus. We have the old Exarban racetrack. We have a large portion of that where we now have 2 academic buildings. We have a number of dorms there, and then they're moving into what they're calling the Center Street campus with in the fall opening the new community arena where we'll play men's and women's basketball. We'll have volleyball, and of course our hockey team will be playing down there. So that's some exciting things going on campus. Our athletics program in July will get their Division I status as fully eligible for competition, and so that's all great news there. Within the Institute, as you guys are getting ready to turn 50 years, the Institute is about ready to celebrate its 25th anniversary next fall. We've been having some success with growth in our program. We have over 160 students now in the different programs that we offer. In our primary program, we've got about 130 students, and of those, about 77 of them are doing flight training, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. So we were founded in 1990. The vision of the Institute came about from a gentleman, Don Smithy, who was the executive director of the Omaha Airport Authority for a number of years. He got together with some local business owners to kind of start the Institute. And one of those stories that I've gotten confirmation on being true goes that Don wanted to bring Southwest Airlines into Omaha. And the only way that Southwest at that time would expand in is if there was a 24-hour FAA tower. So at the time, the tower at Epley was not a 24-hour tower. And one of the best ways to get that, a 24-hour tower, is to increase the number of operations. And the way to do that was to bring in a flight school and do a lot of touch and goes and all kinds of stuff. So Don got together with some big names in Omaha, Chuck Durham, Mike Harper, Walter Scott, and others to form the Institute. We were initially operating down at Eppley, and pretty quickly they got their operations up, and lo and behold, Southwest Airlines a couple years started operations. The initial director was a guy by the name of Bill Shea. He is a very energetic character, is probably the only way to really describe him. And Denny was one of our original faculty members as well in the program. So right now we have 5 faculty on staff, and we have 2 staff members, so we tend to do a fair amount with few people. We are in the process of bringing a 6th faculty member on staff, but right now we are at the 5. In terms of our program, our primary program is the Bachelor of Science in Aviation. This program, students have the option to go through our professional flight track or our air transport administration track, and I'll kind of break those out here in just a minute. We also, through our Division of Continuing Studies, have an opportunity to do what's called an Aviation Studies degree. This degree is what we use for our online degree. They're very flexible with transfer credits. They can bring in FAA certificates and give credit. They give a significant amount of credit for military training. And so we do our online program through this, which we have about 20 students in that program right now. We also offer a minor in aviation, and then we're a unit within the School of Public Administration, and we have concentrations in both their master's and their doctoral program, and right now we have about 10 students in those. So in terms of our professional flight program, we have received our letter of authorization from the FAA to offer the restricted airline transport pilot certificate. So this allows students that graduate from a program like ours to get a 500-hour reduction off of their 1,500 hours for their ATP. This is a significant savings in terms of time and cost to the students. When you look at cost, our students are paying about $40,000 on top of tuition, books, fees, everything else, just to do flight training. So there is a significant cost, but I will tell you, because of the way that we do flight training, where we don't own any aircraft, we use 2 local training providers, one over at Council Bluffs and one out of Millard. It tends to keep our costs down, which is a significant advantage for us. That cost of $40,000 is about $20,000 under the national average. So that's something that we really like to talk about and tout. And Jack is here. He was one of our former providers and did a lot to help us with that. So Jack, thank you for that. We do offer the private instrument rating, commercial, CFI, and multi-engine. The students that are going through our flight program have to graduate with those, and that's part of the restricted ATP program. Most of our students will also look at getting their CFII as well as their multi-engine instructor as a way to build additional hours once they graduate. And then we have a couple of flight training devices on campus. The flight training devices that we use are from Redbird. I was talking to this gentleman up here during lunch, and he was asking me about Frasca. We went with Redbirds because of the cost. The cost savings is pretty significant on the Redbirds. This particular device is a 3-axis full motion device, and we can change it out where we can do a number of different aircraft configurations, from a 172 steam gauge to a 172 G1000 up through our multi, which we have for the Baron that we do in here. The other device that we have is very similar to this. It just doesn't have the motion platform. So we utilize 2 of these in our flight training curriculum. We do all the ground schools and the sim sessions up on campus, and then they go out to our flight training providers to do the flight training. A couple of exciting things that we've been able to set up this year. are these pilot pathway programs with some of the regional carriers. I'm sure most of you have heard that there's this pilot shortage, and I'm here to tell you that there really is. At the major level, there isn't. I mean, the major airlines are never going to have a problem bringing in pilots, but at the regional area, it is an issue. Envoy, for example, they need to be hiring about 35 pilots a month, putting them into the class, and right now they're getting about 10 through. So there's this big need for pilots, and these programs are helping with that. So our students will actually start interviewing their sophomore year, and they'll be given conditional job offers before they graduate. And in the example of Envoy, once they graduate, they'll go to one of their approved training facilities and flight instruct for them as Envoy employees and get full benefits. And then as soon as they either hit that 1,000 or 1,500 hour mark, then they're in the next available class that Envoy has. And the program with ExpressJet is similar. So these are excellent opportunities for students, knowing that your sophomore year, as long as you maintain your GPA and flow through the program as you're supposed to, that you have a job waiting for you. So that's been a big change within the kind of aviation education realm over the past couple of years. In terms of our other program, we have what we call our Air Transport Administration program, and this kind of encompasses everything that's not the flight side. We have a lot of students that are interested in airport operations or going to work in a dispatch capacity at either a charter operation or a corporate flight department or working at the fixed-based operators, going into air traffic control. That's another area. The FAA has said that they need to hire about 1,000 controllers a year for the next 10 years. So these are all areas that our students have interest in, and through this kind of program, they'll look at those kind of opportunities. So we have a number of internships available to our students. You see the different companies up there: JetLinks, Mutual of Omaha and their corporate flight department, the TSA, the Nebraska Department of Aeronautics, Strategic Air and Space Museum, the Omaha Airport Authority, and in Kiewit's corporate flight department. We've also had students successfully go through Omaha Police Department and their air support unit and get internship opportunities there. So we have a lot of different things that we're trying to expose our students to and give them opportunities to succeed in. We have a couple of different student groups. Alpha Eta Rho and Women in Aviation are kind of two groups that deal with professionalism and networking and getting out and meeting people. And then the one on the far right there is our flight team. We have a competitive flight team. We actually go out and compete against other universities. When I was in the program, Denny was the coach and advisor for it. Now I am. And there's a number of different events that we do, and it's not unsimilar to a program that I know at least used to be within the Air Force. I heard Denny talk about it, where squadrons would compete against each other in different things. So there would be these precision landing events that we do in both power off configuration as well as in power on configuration. There's a navigation event where they're given either points or lat long, and they have 30 minutes to plan it out. Then they have to go fly it, and they compare what they planned in terms of time to each point, total time, and fuel burn. There's a message drop event where we're actually dropping canisters out of the airplane at about 200 feet above the ground, trying to hit targets. And then there's a series of ground-based knowledge exams, one of which is on the E6B. The only thing that they can use is the E6B manual flight computer to do all the calculations. There's one on regulations and planning. And then probably what I would call the toughest event is aircraft recognition, where they give 3 seconds and they'll see either a full aircraft or part of an aircraft, and they have to identify make, model, and nickname of the airplane. And it can be any airplane ever made. So it can be a domestic, foreign, military, commercial, rotary, fixed wing. It doesn't matter. Everything is in the the mix for that. So that's kind of some of the different things. And we've done pretty well over the last couple of years with our flight team. We're heading to nationals for the 6th straight year, and I'm really excited to be a part of that. There's a number of different outreach initiatives that we are a part of, one of which is the Aviation Explorers, which is run through the Mid-America Council, and Exploring is a career outreach program, and we host the Aviation Post. So we take high school students around and expose them to different career opportunities in aviation. So this past year we just finished up, we went down to Duncan Aviation and looked at a maintenance facility. We went over to Epley and kind of did a behind-the-scenes tour of airport operations. We went to JetLinks Aviation and looked at a private business. And then for the students that attended all the events last week, they got an opportunity to go up flying in a 172. So we also have a program with the Alfonso Davis Middle School. This is a middle school that opened last year in the Omaha Public Schools District, and of course is named after the former Tuskegee Airman Alfonso Davis. And so we're going out and speaking to all the 7th graders about different career opportunities in aviation, from the commercial side to the military side. Bob Rose, who some of you may know, is also getting the kids out there involved. I know he's bringing them out to Offutt Air Force Base to do some simulator sessions there. And then we're also bringing the 8th grade students up to UNO to do some stuff in our simulators. We also have a pretty neat program with Omaha Burke High School. It's a dual enrollment program, so students are taking college level credit while in high school. One of the biggest advantages to the students on this is the tuition on it is significantly reduced. So they're getting college credit really, really cheap. So by the fall of 2016, we will have all 4 of our freshman level classes set up. We've been doing the private pilot theory class with them for a while, and they had some funding to actually go out to Hangar 1 and do some flying in the past. I'm not sure how much funding they still have to do that, but they are still going through the private pilot ground school, and so several of them are coming into our program with their private pilot done, which is also going to help them stay ahead of a lot of their classmates. So you guys talked about and mentioned your scholarship. We have a number of different scholarships that we hand out to our students. Again, the cost for our students, we're trying to do more and more to provide opportunities to help reduce those costs. So in a month, we'll be having our annual honors convocation where we recognize the achievements of our students from the past year and award all these different scholarships. Some of these scholarships are in memory of some of our students that have the deceased. Others are scholarships that companies have looked to establish and set up. And so we're very fortunate for all the support and help we get for that program. Which leads me into my shameless plug. I'm always up for a shameless plug. And you guys are talking about your golf tournament. We also put on a golf tournament to help support our scholarship program. Ours is September 21st at Players Club. And if anyone has any interest in playing, you can see Colonel Atchison or talk to myself. So before I open it up for questions, I want to say thank you again and kind of leave you with this. The other day I was traveling. I went into a restaurant. I was kind of sitting around, and a gentleman is an airman uniform. I'm not sure what rank. Walked in and he sat down at the bar. And he was sitting next to these 3 guys, and they were chit-chatting. One guy, he looked at it, he goes, "Hey, so you want to hear a joke about the Marines?" The guy said, "Well, before you tell me that joke, let me say I'm 6 foot tall, I'm 200 pounds, and I'm a Marine. This guy next to me, he's 6'2", 225 pounds, and a Marine. And the guy next to him, well, he's 6'5", 250 pounds, and he's a Marine." goes, so do you really still want to tell that joke? The airman looked at him and goes, nah, I don't want to have to tell it 3 times. So, with that, hopefully there's no Marines in here. With that, he's 6'2", 125 pounds.
Okay, no beer for you.
I'll open it up for questions, and thank you again for allowing me to come in. Yes, sir.
Are there programs like this around the US of A?
There are. So in total, there's probably about close to 250 to 275 programs that offer a Bachelor of Science kind of, or a bachelor's program. The biggest one out there is probably Embry-Riddle. That's one that a lot of people have heard of. And North Dakota has a big program. I know Denny came from Purdue, and they have a great program there. So there are a number of programs. I can tell you that in the competition that we have for our flight team, there are 66 schools that participate. And in our region, we compete against Kansas State, Oklahoma, among some other schools. So yeah.
Scott, didn't Bill Shea come from UND?
He did.
He work for John Odegaard?
Yep. So he was up at North Dakota when they went up and visited and asked him to come down. And he was also the associate administrator for airports at the FAA before that. So, Denny, did I miss anything?
No, and before that, he worked for Governor Reagan in CalDOT,
California. Yeah.
in the aviation section there, so that's how he got up to Washington, D.C.
Where are your students coming from?
So most of our students are coming from the Nebraska area. We do get a fair number from Iowa. They don't have a public 4-year institution that has aviation. The only 4-year program they have is out in Dubuque. So we tend to draw a few from like the Des Moines area especially. But most of them are from Nebraska.
Questions? Are you by any chance related to the Vlasek pickle family?
I wish. I probably wouldn't be here if I had that kind of money. You and I have been going good. Anything else? Well, thank you again for allowing me, and also again, thank you for your service to our country.
Like that.
Mr. Provost.
Sir, to our guest speaker.
Here.
Scott, appreciation for coming and let us know what's going on down there at UNO. We'd like you to accept this challenge.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I will, definitely.
Okay, we've got a good program next month as well. We've got Navy Captain Todd Rich coming in to talk us about cyber warfare. So that should be interesting. Let's see, a little drawing. Scott, would you like to do the honors?
Sure.
Just get my ticket.
Dig deep, dig deep.
Be sure you get the right one.
That one?
Too much pressure.
690.
That's the
Bye,
right
Bob.
one. Hey, welcome back.
Oh, yeah, well, whatever it was, Carver, you didn't
5
get it.
off. Oh, you're way off.